to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, and joining me today is a true entrepreneur rock star. He is the CEO and co-founder of GreenPal, and he's done some other really cool things today. We're going to dig into that. Bryan Clayton, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, great to be here, Kirby. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to jump right in. You've created a business called that many people have called the Uber of lawn care. I absolutely love that. It's an online marketplace that connects homeowners to local lawn care pros. So let's start at the beginning. Where did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so rewind 20 years ago, I was actually dragged into entrepreneurship by my dad on a hot summer day. He said, "Get off your butt. You got a job to do. You're going to go mow the neighbor's yard." He made me go cut the neighbor's grass. Thank God he did, because that just stuck with me. And I kept mowing yards all through high school, all through college. Over a 15-year period of time, I stuck with this landscaping business. I didn't really want to be a lawn guy my entire life, but I just stuck with it and grew it into one of the largest landscaping companies in the state of Tennessee where I live. Got it over 150 employees, over $10 million a year in revenue, and sold that business in 2013. So grew it from just me and a push mower to me and like 100 plus people. Learned a lot the hard way about how to build a business, but got it acquired. And then took some time off after that. Got bored and realized something about myself, that I'm wired to love business. I need to be in the game. And the idea for GreenPal was a real straightforward one for me. I was kind of solving my own problem. I knew an app needed to exist like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb to make this service happen a lot smoother. So recruited two co-founders, went to work on the idea, and we've been at this 8 years. We're an 8-year overnight success. Started off very humbly, very meager beginnings, but now we've got over 200,000 people using the app to get their lawn maintenance and doing $20 million a year in revenue. And so I've kind of seen this one industry from every angle you can see it from.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I think it is I always talk about when I talk to young people who want to be an entrepreneur. I think sometimes we think it's got to be they envision the $20 million, but it's like sometimes it can start with you and a push mower, and
Yeah.
and there's lessons in that.
That's one of the beautiful things about the lawn mowing business. It's a great way to kind of cut your teeth on owning a business, because there's a lot of fundamentals and principles that
Yeah,
apply to any business. So
yeah.
a lot of times, if you got a great idea, it's easier to start a more approachable business like lawn maintenance, home cleaning, something like that, a service-based business. Do that for a year, cut your teeth, learn how to run a business, and then do the one you want to do.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. So, I think for those who are entrepreneurs, and I always say, like, most everybody, you can be an entrepreneurial mindset too, entrepreneurial leaders, and then entrepreneurs. We're always looking for smart ways to grow, and you've clearly mastered that. So, what are some tips that you give people to grow a business in today's culture?
I think when you're first getting started, especially in like a new business, maybe you're inventing a new product that doesn't exist, or you're starting off on some kind of new thing that you don't know how to do. It's important to innovate on what it is you're doing, how you're going to beat your competitors, how you're going to deliver a differentiated service to the marketplace. That's important, but you also have to innovate on growth and distribution. And it almost doesn't matter how good the product is. You have to do some sort of innovation on how you're going to market and grow it also. And you have to do those both at the same time. And I see a lot of new entrepreneurs make this mistake of, they come up with a great idea, and they've mapped out their business plan, and they've worked through like a business model canvas or something like that, and then under growth or under marketing they just like put a bunch of acronyms:
Yeah,
PPC, SEO, SEM, and like done, check. And that's not how it works. You have to figure out a way that you're going to innovate in these channels. You have to figure out a way that you're going to compete and do something different and better than your competitors, because the reality is growth and marketing kills more startups and new businesses than the idea itself. And so while you're focused on building the service, you got to focus on innovating on growth as well.
I love that. It reminds me of a quote from Mike Michalowicz. Mike is author of Pumpkin Plan, Profit First, a couple other books, and he's actually working on a book. But he said that in the mind of our customers, we're always trying to be better than our competition. He said sometimes better is not better, different is better,
Right.
and it kind of goes to your idea about differentiation there.
Yeah, exactly. And differentiation in how you market. And
Yeah,
so, like a lot of times businesses will start and they'll build the business, and it could be anything from like you want to open up a new bakery service, or a new Uber for massages or
yeah,
whatever. It's like they build the product and then they sprinkle marketing on top. And that's not how it works. The marketing's got to be in the DNA of the business.
Mm,
Like, what is the business doing that helps it create a flywheel effect within the business to spread it, to get the word out? And that could be anything from like a referral program inside the business, or it could be something that the business does that creates great content that you can repurpose on social media or something. Maybe like if you open up a brand new hairstyling salon and you just crush TikTok with the best content that you're putting out in your market. Like that's the way you need to be thinking in terms of how you're going to innovate on marketing and growth and distribution alongside of getting everything else going. Because if not, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough to like go head to head with people that are already doing it and been
yeah.
doing it for 5 or 10 years. It's going to be hard to compete and win.
I love that. I love, as a marketing guy, you know that I love that marketing has to be a part of your DNA. That's a great. I love that statement. So I want to talk to you about bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is one of those terms that get thrown around, and obviously, I think anybody who wants to start a business wants to do it in a financially smart way, and it makes a ton of sense. Bootstrapping a business makes a ton of sense on paper, but I want to talk to you about this because I feel like you're sort of an expert in this. Do you think you can really grow by bootstrapping?
Well, I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I do have experience doing it. I've done it. That's all. I've built 2 businesses to over 8 figures and haven't had any outside capital
Mm,
or debt on either of them. And so I believe it is the most practical, sustainable, and best bet you can make as an entrepreneur is to grow your business off of its own revenues.
mm,
Now, that is not to say that's not the only way to do it. I mean, if you look on your phone, every app on that home screen is has been venture backed. And so, if you're really going to swing for the fences for a huge idea, then maybe the only way to do it is to raise capital. But it can help that if you're on your second or third swing at the plate, like you've already got maybe a win under your belt,
mm,
and then the venture backed thing or the angel investor backed thing is something that you already kind of know what you're doing, and you can like really move faster with that
right.
capital. The reality is that in most cases, new entrepreneurs think they have to raise capital, so they let that be a thing that kind of inhibits them from getting started. And then if they do raise capital, that's kind of the thing that papers over and masks a lot of things that are not going well with the
Right.
business. It doesn't have sound unit economics. It's not delivering a service that people are sticking around and using over and over and over again. And so the more capital you kind of pour on top of it, it can kind of paper over that and mask that. And then it usually leads to like a bad outcome for you and your investors. So for me, bootstrapping is the most sustainable way to get your business going from scratch, and it's the method for me to increase your likelihood of success. Because if you're not funding the business off of its own revenues, then you're not doing something right. You're not solving a problem that people are willing to pay for and continue to pay for. And so that kind of like it constantly like course corrects you. It constantly like it forces you to talk to your customers. It forces you to figure out what's wrong with the business. Whereas if you raise, $1 million or $5 million, you can kind of like be sloppy at these things.
Yeah. By the way, I think that totally makes sense, and I think that you hear about so many times where it's like when you raise money, the goal is really to prove it so you can raise more money, and
Right.
sometimes you lose sight of the metrics of what actually makes money on a transaction, and you lose sight of how a business is built.
Right. You're building a business that investors love and not one that customers love.
Mm,
And I'm not, espousing that, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying for me, my preference is, for your increased likelihood of success, bootstrapping is the best way to go. Because the reality is for most entrepreneurs, going the venture backed route is a bad bet. 9 out of 10 of these things fail. And so long as you're okay with that and you understand that's what you're signing up for and you realize that, then yeah, have at it. But the reality is that most of them do fail, and venture capitalists have their bets spread over 20 or 30 entrepreneurs, whereas this is your life. You're going to spend 5, 10 years on this thing, and ideally would like to have a good outcome.
yeah, dude, that is fantastic insight. I really appreciate it. You've answered my 3 questions and then some. I give everybody a chance to ask me a question. Do you have one for me, Brian?
Yeah, sure. What's your best advice for entrepreneur looking to grow their business? What is the best things that you've seen somebody like a lever they pull on that's helped them add revenue?
Yeah, no, I love that question. So I think that, one of the, and again, I tend to look at things from a marketing perspective, just I'm a marketing guy and hopefully that's, marketing's in my DNA. But I would say, I think one of the things that we do as entrepreneurs is we tend to focus on ourselves and we talk about ourselves as our business, as opposed to focusing on the problem that the customer has. And I
Mm.
think that one of the ways that you make your marketing better, you make it more compelling, you stand out in the eyes of your customer is to really focus on their challenges and their problems and how then you can help them with it, as opposed to just saying, hey, here's who we are, here's why we're great. Here, making yourself, as Donald Miller talks about, make yourself the hero of the story, make your customer the hero of the story, and then spend a great deal of time providing them value. I talk about it as the give first. You whether it's through content, whether it's through building the relationship. I think those are the folks, entrepreneurs, organizations, and salespeople who provide value up front are the ones that build long-term relationships where you can build a sustainable model. And talk to your customers and doing that sort of thing as you were talking about. So to me, that's, my advice probably goes a little bit hand in hand with yours.
I like that. Yeah, it's so easy when we spend a year, 5 years in our business. Like this gap forms between company logic and customer logic,
Yeah.
and so it's like we're looking at the same thing from different perspectives. And really, as an entrepreneur, even in the beginning or decade in, you got to close that gap between customer logic and company logic. And it creeps up on you before you know it. You're looking at a problem from a totally different paradigm than your customer is,
Mm.
and then you're pissed off and wondering why they're not doing what it is you want them to do.
No, man, that is so good. That is so good. Well, Bryan, thank you so much. If somebody's looking for you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so anybody listening to this doesn't want to waste time cutting their own yard, you can just download Green Pal in the App Store or Play Store. Anybody wants to reach me, I've been hanging out on LinkedIn a lot lately. You can just hit me up on LinkedIn.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Bryan. I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll have to do it again sometime. Okay.
Thanks, Kirby. I enjoyed it.
All right, buddy. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.